Okay, I'm live. Welcome to the Monumental UK YouTube channel, a channel that was dedicated to reselling on eBay and mental health. However, the world has changed rapidly over the last few weeks, particularly here in the UK and in Europe and the rest of the world. Don't even know what I'm saying. Coronavirus has taken over and caused many unfortunate deaths, a lot of suffering, a lot of financial hardship, and has devastated the world economy. Today, many of you will be aware, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Prime Minister of Boris Johnson announced that the UK was going into lockdown, as it's colloquially known. This effectively means that we are not to leave our homes except under a very limited set of circumstances. I've got the Prime Minister's address in front of me. I have a lot of experience of analysing ministerial briefings and addresses. It's been literally my career. So I thought we would take a look at it, go through it, assess what it means. Obviously, people have questions about what it means for their reselling business, what it means for their daily lives, etc. We'll go through, I'll share some of my views and thoughts on it. Purely my own views and thoughts. They do not represent the views of HM Government or anyone else that I'm affiliated with. They only represent my own views and personal opinion. The first thing to note is that the full text and transcript of Boris's address, Boris, the Prime Minister, is available on the gov.uk website, and I will drop that link into the chat now so that you can see that yourself and have a read along with me if you so wish. Have I got any spanners? Lana, you're going to become a spanner because I will get trolled. Dave is spanning. Michelle's here. Excellent. Hi, Shazad. Obviously, I'll just say a few hellos before we get started. Deep Fried Deals. Dave was in first. Says Trump is going the opposite way. Sounds like he's going to reopen the US soon rather than go further into lockdown. Oh, God. I really hope that he doesn't, or at least that his governors and his Senate, etc., overrule him, because we've got to stop the spread of this virus, basically. Welcome, Lee. Welcome, Leanne. Welcome, Shazad. Welcome, Lana. Welcome, Kazi Carl. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome, Derek. Welcome, Fred. Welcome, Chris. You'll have to excuse me coughing. I'm recovering from Ebola AIDS. Okay, so the Prime Minister addressed the nation here in the UK today, 8:30 p.m. It was a pre-record. It was not a live broadcast. He didn't live stream it. I don't know what's going to happen with his further live broadcasts. I suspect that they will not be in the same format now that we are in lockdown. He can't be having members of the press sat in front of him in a room and be promoting lockdown. So I think that's all going to change. Again, just my thoughts. Don't shoot me for it, but I think the nature of those daily briefings is going to change a lot now. He announced basically that coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced in decades. So he wanted to update us on the latest steps. He reminded us of why, but we already know. And this is the critical part, and therefore he announced that people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. So I will be leaving the house on Wednesday when I'm out of my own lockdown. So I've been in self-isolation. To go to the supermarket to get some supplies. And that will be pretty much it. One form of exercise a day. So by that, he means you can only leave your house once a day to do exercise. You can leave your house for any medical need, to provide care, or to help a vulnerable person. And this last one is the critical part, which I know a lot of resellers and a lot of people have already been getting confused about, and I've seen a lot of confusing messages coming about. You can finally also leave your house if you're traveling to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary, and this cannot be done from home. So where your work, where your business cannot be done or conducted from home, you can leave the house to do that, but you must be able to demonstrate to the police or whoever, anyone who challenges you, why you have taken a decision to leave your home to carry out that aspect of work. Now, what happens with all of these government announcements is that the announcement is made, and then the next day on the gov.uk website, there's further clarification and criteria that come out, because there's only so much you can say in a short statement. So I fully expect we'll get more clarification on that. My interpretation is, if you are a reseller selling on eBay, your business, part of your business involves posting your product to customers, and therefore it is sometimes absolutely necessary to leave your house to take those packages to the post office. That is part of your work. So I believe that it is okay to do that based on what Boris has said in the content of this speech. Now, nowhere in this speech does it make any mention of key workers or essential work. Okay, so key workers, essential work, that was all around defining who could still send their children to school after the schools went into closure. So don't confuse that with the content of what's in this announcement. This is a totally different announcement to that. The key bit in this is, as I say, it does say that traveling to and from work, but only where absolutely necessary, and that work cannot be done from home, is still allowed. But what I would suggest, very strongly, as Michelle says, he was clear about what type of retail was essential or not. Again, though, that seemed to be all around shops. So he said in his statement, close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing, electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds, outdoor gyms, and place of work. So basically, it was all about bricks and mortar establishments and stopping people going in those bricks and mortar stuff. I think tomorrow we'll see some clarification about online businesses. But how I'm interpreting it at the minute is that you can still travel to the post office or wherever to drop off your parcels. But what I would strongly suggest is that you limit doing that as much as possible. So if you can up your dispatch times, I would suggest doing that. I would suggest combining it with something else that you have to do that's essential. A lot of post offices are in food stores, for example. So combine your trip to pick up the essential supplies with delivering your parcels, or doing exercise. Your exercise could be walking to the post box to put some letters in there, some large letters in there, or if you've got a parcel post box, put parcels in there and walking back. You should absolutely avoid contact with people as much as possible. Ideally, if you see no people at all, that is the intention. That's what this is intended to do, to stop the spread of this virus. I would also suggest, this is for you to think about, but I would suggest that if you are reselling on eBay to supplement your income, but you do not require that income to support yourself, because you've got income from another source, that you seriously think about stopping doing the reselling at all, or pausing doing the reselling at all while we go through this crisis. I myself am having a serious think about, even though I do, to be completely honest, rely on the income I get from eBay to pay some of my bills, I'm looking at what I can do to stop having to use eBay for money, full stop, and just try and close my store if I can. I might not be able to do it because I've got rent to pay on my storage. I need to speak to the landlords there about that, about what I can do, because I cannot now go with my planned move out of the cow shed. So yeah, I would seriously consider about stopping doing the reselling anyway, if you can. I realise for those of you who rely on it for an income, that's not going to be possible. You know, it's a fact of life. The government is, we know the government is working on a self-employed support package to help people. The way government works is, and especially at this time of crisis, is it's got to focus on the biggest things first, the most important, highest priorities first. Last week, that highest priority was the people in full-time employment, because quite simply, there are more of them than there are self-employed people. There are more people in full-time employment, so therefore the government had to work on a support package for those people and the businesses that employed them last week. Then over the weekend, we saw what happened with people ignoring the social distancing, possibly even ignoring the self-isolating, but definitely ignoring the social distancing. Record numbers of people descending on places like Snowdonia, etc., traveling from the cities where this disease is prevalent out to the country where it is not prevalent, and potentially spreading it around there and around many localities that did not have it before. And so therefore the government's priority became stopping that from happening. And that's why they met at Cobra today, and that's why you've had this announcement today. But I've absolutely no doubt that now the government will go back to looking at the self-employed position and seeing what can be done. Whatever comes up will be a compromise. It won't help everyone, but I'm sure that will come out soon. But in the meantime, yeah, again, Chris, do not listen to the rumours that you hear. Individual post offices may have put their own restrictions in place, but you need to have a look at the news sources, the official news sources that are out there. So for the post office counters have a website, Royal Mail have a website. Get your facts from there rather than relying on what somebody else is saying. Speak to your own post office and see what their arrangements are, because they may do something different. But don't go off, all I'm saying here is my interpretation of things and how I'm reading things, So I'm telling you what I've read on the gov.uk website from what the Prime Minister's statement there and how I've interpreted it. Somebody else could interpret it differently. They might have a different view of what it says there, and that's fine. But if you want clarification on things, go out there and get the information yourself. Don't go off what you read in the Daily Mail or the Times or the Telegraph or any newspaper, even the BBC to some extent, even though they are effectively a government mouthpiece because they are funded by, and they are, technically a government sort of funded and chartered organisation. They're not always going to get things right. They are offering opinions and conjecture as well. Your official news source in this time in the UK is the gov.uk website. You've got your Public Health England, Public Health Wales, Public Health Northern Ireland, Public Health Scotland websites. You've got the NHS websites. For any organisations you've got questions on, their own websites, their own social media accounts. That's where you need to be looking. Don't go off just because somebody said something on Facebook or said something on YouTube or Doris in the post office said something. Go out there and get the information yourself, basically. Have a look at these trusted official government websites that are out there that will tell you what the current position is. There are people working very hard to keep them updated, working day and night, and that is where you'll find it. Newspapers, etc., they exist to sell papers. They're full of opinion. Doesn't mean they're right. The Daily Mirror said that we were going into lockdown last Thursday or Friday, I believe. Well, that didn't happen. It's happened today, so it's only opinion. But do be aware of what the Prime Minister has announced today. I will read that out again. People will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes: shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. And we don't know what's going to happen with supermarket restrictions, etc., in that regard. So, let's not go off wild sharing rumours or whatever about that, one form of exercise a day. I've taken that to mean go out once to do exercise per day, but avoid other people when you're doing that. Do not get any closer to 2 meters than any other person. Thank you, Shazad. Thank you for the super chat there. I'm going to need that. Hi, Joan. Hi, Nick. Hi, LGG. Hello. Anyone else I've missed? You can leave your house for any medical need. If you've broken your leg, you need to go to bloody hospital. That's a medical need. To provide care or to help a vulnerable person. So you're a carer for somebody, for example. You need to deliver supplies to somebody who has run out. That is allowed. There's a lot of volunteer organisations that have been set up with the local authorities' consent and support, and the national government's consent and support to do things like that, to help deliver, to help vulnerable people. So that's why that's in there. And again, this is important. You can leave to travel to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. Basically, and yeah, I agree, Steve. It's this is desperate times and desperate measures, and we've all got to think here about what can be done to support this lockdown. Onions are crime against humanity. They're probably the cause of the coronavirus. So yeah, I fully expect that there will be further clarifications coming out tomorrow around this. Again, the place to check, gov.uk. I will drop a link in to the gov.uk website. It's currently enough, it's gov.uk/coronavirus. I'll drop a link in there so you can check that. Have a look on NHS website. Have a look on Public Health, England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, wherever you're based. Yeah, don't trust Doris. That'd be my advice to you. But the important thing is, don't give in to rumours or hearsay. Don't bloody spread them. But I've already seen today, right, since this lockdown has been announced, some nice little graphics coming out around referring to key workers and all sorts of things, right? This announcement has not said anything in it about key workers, about anything to do with that. The key workers was about who is sending their kids to school. There may be some further stuff coming out tomorrow. That's fair enough. Have a look at it then. But find the information yourself. They've got some snazzy graphic that somebody's drawn up on Photoshop and then shared on the internet, and everyone thinks it's real. Only have a look at the official news sources that are out there. And the bloody Daily Mail is not an official news source. They've annoyed me today. You can tell by the fact I keep mentioning them. I've seen some of the stuff they're putting out, and I'm just like, it's not good. Follow the government advice. Nick, my interpretation, having looked at Boris's statement, I'll just bring it back up again. Again, only my interpretation, does not reflect the views of my employer or any organisation I may or may not be affiliated with. But having looked at Boris's statements here, he says that travel to and from work, just finding it, travelling to and from work is allowed, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. So if you think about it, your business is a type of work. Travelling to the post office to deliver parcels is an essential component of your work, and that cannot necessarily be done from home unless you can arrange a collection service to do that. If you can arrange a collection service to do it, great, that's what you should be doing. If you can't, then yeah, you've got to travel, but I would strongly advise combining that with another task that you've got to perform, such as going out shopping for the basic necessities or doing your daily exercise. Your exercise could be walking to the post box to drop off stuff. That's my interpretation of what this means. There may be some further, maybe. Well, Boris hasn't said anything about online retail in his statements here. This is why I'm, not quite clear on this. I've got the full text of Boris's statement here. I'll drop the link in there so people can read it, draw their own conclusions. But yeah, my interpretation is that that you can do that, but I would suggest doing it alongside shopping for your essential supplies or your exercise. Your exercise could be walking to the post box to send out your large letters. Or if you've got one of those parcel boxes, drop off your stuff. I mean, you know, a lot of these Hermes drop off points, they're in a corner shop, aren't they? Well, drop off your Hermes parcels there, but at the same time, you could be grabbing your shopping, your supplies for the next few days, couldn't you? Because they sell food, so you know that could be done at the same time. Stops you from going out. You know, I think we all need to think about upping our dispatch times, so that we can limit the amount of times that we are having to go out and do deliveries, do orders. Sorry. And yeah, that Josh has been a question that I've had about the car MOTs. You know, because surely to God, surely to God, you know, I am a key worker as deemed for the school criteria. If I have to travel in the course of my work for government, but my MOT is run out, how can I get about? You know, I've got questions like that, which I'm sure will be addressed. Yeah, he mentioned online food shopping in his briefing, didn't he? But yeah, interesting question around the MOT. No idea what was going to happen there. I mean, we don't know what's going to unfold over the next sort of few weeks. You know, my argument is, are the police going to be there carrying out ANPR checks on people? I don't know. I suspect that they'll have other priorities. Personally, you know, I'm sure if you're saying to them, "Yeah, my MOT's run out," but actually, I live 5 miles away from the supermarket. The car garages are all closed around here because of lockdown. I have to travel to get my food. There's no online delivery slots. You know, there must be something that will be put in place to cover that scenario, I'm sure. Yeah, difficult situation, Donna. To hear and dawn all time. So yeah, anyway, those are my views and thoughts. Well, people are panic buying because they're going to be locked in their houses, aren't they? Oddly enough, I've had not a single sale since this announcement came in. But yeah, anyway, those are sort of my views, thoughts, and interpretation. You know, again, purely based on what I've read from the official government news sources, not going off what I've seen on Facebook and Twitter and other people's interpretations. You know, I've seen what the BBC is saying, but even that is interpretation and opinion. It is not necessarily the official line. So I'm just looking at what the official line here, which is what's on the gov.uk website. But yeah, we are in lockdown. We need to respect that. We need to stay home, save lives, protect the NHS. Stay home, save lives, protect the NHS. Has anyone got any questions? If anyone's got any questions on anything I've just said, pop them in the chat now because I will have missed them. Just put a question. I've just got to get a drink because I've been talking for a long time. That's one here. Yeah. But it's, yeah. Also, the other point to note about dropping off stuff at the post office, etc. Please contact your post office or your drop-off point before you travel there. A lot of them are operating restricted hours now. They will, if you put your shop on holiday mode, you still have to pay the shop fee. Yes, you do. Your listings, all that happens with holiday mode is Your listings are still visible, but there's a message on top of your listings to say the seller is away. That's all it does. So if you don't want people to buy from you, the only thing you can do is end your listings. Or you can use the out of stock option, I believe, and set your quantity to 0. But if you want to cancel your shop, take everything down, maybe the way to go. So Josh is saying his understanding is, and again, only Josh's understanding, you will need to check this for yourselves by speaking to your post office, but Bristol Post Office are on Saturday hours, believed to close at 12. Yeah, bless you. Bless you, Liam. I've not been able to get hold of any hand sanitizer. I've ordered some. I need to get that sorted. Actually, I ordered some off eBay. It's never come. I had to open an INR case. They marked it to dispatched after I opened the INR case. Still not come. So they're obviously not going to send that. So I need to get eBay to close that and get a refund. What's Shazad going on about now? Yeah, I think Donna. Even if you get the maybe, even if you get the you still get charged your shop fees though if you go in the holiday mode. Is my understanding, unless anyone knows any difference. Question: is Zahir qualified to be a reseller? I'm not sure you need any qualifications to be a reseller, to be honest, Shazad. Unfortunately, maybe there should be a reseller qualification. You know, I'm sure somebody will bring out a course for that soon enough. Sorry, post office. They were shut. Yeah, give them a ring beforehand, Lawrence, because I went and run my post office this morning just to see what they were doing this week when I come out of lockdown. I got loads of stuff to take down there. They said this morning that they were shutting because they're open until 10 o'clock at night now. And they said I was shutting at 5:30 every day. And I guarantee if I ring them tomorrow, it's going to be a different answer as well. Just bought some soap and baby wipes off Amazon. I'll survive now. But yeah, we live in interesting times. Posted a couple of items a couple of days ago for Argos collection. Yeah, I literally have no idea what is going to happen with click and collect. Hi Dana. One would assume that Argos is covered by this store closures, and so therefore Argos will be closed. Presumably they will keep hold of the parcels there, as I can't imagine the staff will be coming in. But yeah, eBay's going to have a lot of interesting stuff to deal with there. Question: if it all goes to pot, will you consider exacting bloody violent? Well, I will be establishing a extension of the cult here in Wrexham here. I'm very lucky. I have a government ID as well, so you know, my plan is, should I get challenged by men with guns, which could happen, I will pull out the government ID and say, oh, government worker on government work, please don't shoot me. But hopefully I'll not get to that. But yeah, I'm glad I found that today. That was a frantic half-hour researching after the lockdown was announced to make sure I found that. Standalone Argos are closing, but ones attached to Sainsbury's are not. That's interesting. DVG's just sold a makeup stock for €150. Oh, there you go. Take care, Shazad. Take all click and collect off your listings. Sold a week for £230 this morning. Jesus Christ. I don't know what the nothing else is. I can't follow the conversation. My local post office is walking distance, but it's got funny hours. The one normally use about 4 miles away, but in a co-op's in Kilty. But exactly, Richard, that's the kind of thinking that needs to happen. Is how can I combine as many of these things as possible to limit my contact and my exposure with others? That's what we've all got to be thinking about. I've got Wii's, PlayStations, and whatever. They're all in the cow shed. I have no intention of going to the cow shed to get them out. The only thing I'm doing in that regard to that cow shed is phoning my landlord and saying, you know, what the hell can we do about the fact that I've got all my stuff in there? I was going to move it out at the end of the month to a location I now can't get to. And I have no money to pay your rent with. How are we going to get around that? I'm hoping the fact that I have consistently paid them on time for the full term of my tenancy will go in my favour, but you just don't know how they're going to be. I do know that it has been announced that you cannot get evicted from commercial properties for 3 months for non-payment of rent. So that is a blessing, but yeah, a whole world of stress that I've got to sort out tomorrow. Post box of Woolworths, both within a 5-minute walk. Excellent. Yeah, I got to say, Drew, I'm not sure how seriously people and I can't. There isn't enough room in my house to get the stuff from the cow shed. I have too much stock in there to physically put in this house now. So it's not even an option to bring it back here. There's just too much of it. It was going into a shipping container, but you know, I will phone the shipping container company tomorrow, but I suspect they'll be say, "You're having a laugh, aren't you, mate? We're not even here anymore." But again, these are things that, you know, I'm not going to let worry me. The business is a separate thing to me. Even if I lost all of my stock and whatever, and that was just gone, if I survive coronavirus, that is far more important as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, not good news for commercial landlords, case. But yeah, I don't know how. Hi, Peter. I don't know. Bless you. I don't know how things look in Australia, but I've got to say, right, you guys, you're not far behind us on this. You've got to take this thing seriously, because this is, you know, it's an economy ruiner. It's a people killer. It cannot be underestimated, the scale and the level of catastrophe that is coming for all of you guys. Get prepared for it now. Really do. Just prepare for it, right? Get whatever supplies you need to stay at home. Don't go out if you can possibly avoid it. Forget about sourcing, all of that, because if you get this virus, if it spreads around, it's a killer, and there is no natural immunity for it, and the economy is screwed. Jesus, yeah, and don't get close to anyone. Don't let anyone more than 2 meters within you. It's you know, we would not be in lockdown in this nation. This is, you know, one of the most powerful countries in the world has just trashed its economy, totally trashed its economy, killed its economy, because it believes that saving its citizens from the threat of this virus is more important than any other concern. And if we're doing that here, if we're risking decades of impact now, mass unemployment, you know, all of that, you know, God knows what the privations are going to be coming as a result of this. And, you know, we're sending businesses to the wall and whatever else, and we're saying it doesn't matter because survival is important. That you know, that's got to say something to you. So, you know, do whatever you can to avoid this thing and keep your family safe. Don't see anyone else. Just total lockdown is the only way through this. We've even had the opposition applauding this Shadow Health Secretary now. He's on here saying, fully agree with what the Prime Minister has done today. You never have that. You never have the bloody opposition saying 100% behind the Prime Minister. And yet, that's what they've just done. I haven't stopped it yet, Peter, but it's coming. I need to sort out a few things financially because I do rely on that eBay income to support the payment of some of my bills. My wages for my full-time job do not cover all of my bills. So about that eBay income, that I when I say don't cover my bills, I need to buy food on top of those bills as well. So my full-time income doesn't cover all my bills, and it doesn't cover buying food at all. So the eBay income is what I use to buy food and to pay some of my bills as well. So if I end my shop, if I end that income, I've got to think, how can I afford to feed myself? So I'm working to see what I can do financially to you know, to weather this storm, seeing what I can do to end you know, to get to the position where I can end that eBay. I'm speaking to the bank. I've already run them today, and I've said, look, I need a 3-month pay freeze, mortgage freeze. I get that, great, but then I've got to worry about the rent on the cow shed as well. So yeah. Peter, your post office may not be open at that time. The post offices are operating a restricted service now. I'm saying to everyone, check with your post office if it's actually still open, because even what their hours were this morning may not be their hours tomorrow as a result of this lockdown announcement. Yeah, but the shop may not open at 6 a.m. So my post office, for example, is in a shop that's open 24 hours. I phoned them up this morning to say I've heard that some of the post office branches are changing the opening hours, and yeah, mine's in a 24-hour food shop as well, Peter. Though, what I'm saying to you is, I phoned them this morning. That post office counter in there is open normally from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. And they said to me when I phoned them this morning, oh no, we're operating a reduced hour for the post office. The food store still 24 hours, but the post office counter, because we've got less staff, isn't being manned for anything other than 9:30 till 5:30, and that might change. So I definitely advise checking with them to see whether they're planning on making any changes to that particular element of the service. Because mine has, so and I believe many others have as well. Yeah, so they're not closing the AM, but they may be operating a reduced service, because the simple fact of the matter is, this is a disease that affects people, and a lot of people are falling victim to it, and a lot of people are being forced to isolate or stay at home to look after family members. So there simply aren't the people there to man these services any longer. You know, it won't be a secret that we're seeing this in government, that people are not there. But going out, getting that exercise, vital, Peter. So no harm in going out, getting the exercise, and seeing if it's open. If it is, great, you can do that. If it isn't, might have a bit more of an issue. At least you'll know. Yeah, we got any more questions, folks? You're hoping for reassurance over the next few days, are you, Derek? That's optimistic. Has anyone had an update from any? I had an email from UPS saying they were going to try and continue to maintain service as long as possible, but that was UPS Europe that wrote to me, because as people know, I do international deliveries. How frequently can we expect drinking with Andrew? Until the cider runs out, Drew. Until the cider runs out. I'd definitely say speak to your post office before you go out there. Combine your trip to the post office with a trip for essential supplies and or exercise, because you want to limit your contact with people. Yeah, I spoke to a doctor, and I'm the medication I take for my asthma isn't at the severity level where they need to tell me to go into 12 weeks isolation. So then I said, well, and because I have got a heart condition, but because I don't need to take any medication for it, they again think I'm okay. So good news for me, no 12 weeks isolation. Bad news for me means nothing, because we're in lockdown anyway. So great. What I have done today is I have contacted some people in my former department, one of those evil government departments, DWP, that everyone hates, that deals with the payment of benefits. I've started contacting people there to say, if my area that I works for doesn't require me to work or do stuff for them any longer, because a lot of government departments after today's guidance have said to the staff, stay at home, don't come in tomorrow. If mine takes the same approach of saying, actually, we don't need you, I would like to volunteer to do benefit processing and support that in DWP, because they're going to get hammered with benefit claims. So that used to be my job a few years ago. I'm sure I can pick it back up again and go and work for them, because I want to be on the front line somewhere of fighting this and dealing with this, even if it means putting myself at risk. I want to be doing something to help support the country and you guys and everyone that I know. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I want to do. I know there's a lot of community groups that have been set up under the purviews of the local authorities. Here in Wrexham, it's AVOW, Association of Volunteers for Wrexham, that are working in conjunction with Wrexham Council to find people to help with delivering supplies to the vulnerable and such like. That may be going on in your local area as well. Worth checking out your local council websites and seeing what support they need, if there's anything you can do to help them. There might be stuff you can do from home to support your community as well, but stay away from other people. We've had to tell a lot of people to go into work to deliver frontline services for government, that even though we know that means that they're likely to get the disease. You'll have seen the NHS staff that are being compelled to go into work, and there are doctors and nurses and medical staff that are losing their lives in Italy and Spain and other places to this virus. People are literally sacrificing their lives to try and fight this. So we've got to take it seriously and try and help out wherever we can. My partner is a manager for supermarket. I feel the same. She's doing an important role, but I do worry as well. It's very worrying to everyone. My sister has some underlying health conditions. She works for the NHS. She is and her team are supporting mental health delivery and services over in Lincolnshire. And it's very worrying because all of her staff and her have been told that they can't work from home, even though they have the ability to and the technology to. They've got to maintain a presence because that's the blanket steer that has gone out. We have to maintain a physical presence here, even though it's putting people at risk, because they are seen as being that first and last line of defence. So, very worrying times. And we've got to think about how we can support people the best. And the best way we can do to support that and support them is minimising our exposure to other people, minimising our exposure to anything that could cause that virus to spread. It doesn't matter if we get it and it doesn't affect us. It's the effect that it has on the other people, and particularly on those people who are there on the front line. We could infect somebody, that person could end up in hospital. They could infect the person who's caring for them, and they could lose their life. So we've got to think about that. That's my rant over anyway, folks. We will return with Drinking with Andrew on Friday, I'm sure. We'll try and be as optimistic and positive as we can. But I do want people to take this thing seriously and realise the severity of it. Yeah, I won't read DBG. We've spent a lot more than that 33 billion anyway. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone stays okay. I hope that we will support each other during this difficult time, and we will keep on doing what we can. Definitely not great for the anxiety, but this is not something that we can control. This is what we can control is how we deal with it, and the way we need to deal with it is to follow the government advice. If we follow that government advice, we are giving ourselves the best possible chance. So you've got to keep saying to yourself, what I'm doing here is I am following the government advice. Says, if you haven't watched it yet, please do watch the videos that have been put on YouTube by the BBC about how to wash your hands properly as well. We all think we can wash our hands properly. I thought I could. I watched that video and realised I was not washing my hands properly. So watch that kind of stuff. It's a real eye-opener. It's going to take, 30 seconds, a minute of your life to do that. And by doing that, you could potentially be saving somebody else's life. So do take some time. Go and watch that now. Yeah. Okay, folks. Bye for now, everyone. Take care. See you all soon. I've got to remember how to end this now.